Hi, this is Beth, and today we are going to catch up on some of our old photos. Now, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I usually talk about heritage photos. Heritage as in maybe 100 years old or people in your family that you never even met a ways back. Today, we're going to talk about a little bit more recent, but still old photos, as in, say, from the 1960s to the early 21st century. So late 20th, early 21st century. If you're like me, you have stacks of photos that you haven't scrapbooked. And let me tell you, first of all, you don't have to scrapbook everything. It's okay. There are some things that just make us happy and we want to have them in an album. We want to share them with our families. We want to look at them and enjoy them and write down things that we want to be remembered. Just like with heritage photos, we may want to do these things about our lives, our childhoods, and maybe our parents' pictures. Again, if you're like me, maybe you have one of these power sort boxes. This is a power sort box, which is what we have now in Creative Memories. And I also have some of those really big ones that we used to have just full of pictures. So don't feel bad if you have that too, or if you even have plastic tubs or boxes full of pictures. It can be daunting, but we're going to do a little bit of catching up today. So it's all right. You can do a little bit at the time. By the way, if you haven't met me before, I'm Beth Saunders. I'm a Creative Memories advisor. I work in an archives. I do family genealogy. I just published a book about my family genealogy, which is why I haven't done a lot of videos. But again, I have been, even though I teach about heritage, I and my customers work on all kinds of dates. Lately, I've been working on pictures from 2023 and 2025. It's been really fun to get my recent photos while I still have fresh and vivid memories and put them in an album. I'm not always that good, um, but let's go back to some of these are years before I even got into scrapbooking, or I inherited photos, or I just found them. But I have been inheriting a lot of photos and finding things lately that were my parents. So one of the things we're going to talk about today is since, at least in our family, since the 1990s or earlier, and now in the present, we have this standard size photo. Actually, let me switch to my overhead camera here. There we go. So we have this standard 4x6 size photo. So we still use those today. Creative Memories prints 4x6s. A lot of companies, the drugstore, online services print 4x6 photos. And we're going to start with some of those because I'm behind on a lot of pictures. And these are from, um, actually, I have the year written down. These are from 2007. And there's a reason I'm going to talk about 2007 in a minute. Okay, before that, I used I used to use this camera a lot. It came with this, I think it was 126 number film, and it printed out lots and lots of these little square photos. They're actually 3.5 by 3.5. So some of my older photos that I'd like to catch up on are a different size. And then there are photos from my childhood that my dad took, and it's a similar format to the 4x6, but they printed smaller. These are 3.5 by 5. So you might have a lot of that size. They're all different sizes, and we can work with any of them. We're going to show examples here. But the funny thing about 2007 is Creative Memories used to have a different size album page. For those of you that might be new to the scrapbooking world, let's see. It was 12 by 12 all the way to the outer jeeping. Now, one of the nice things about our pages is that we have this jeeping. You see this border? It's a little bit thicker cardboard. I don't know if you can see it very well on camera, but it makes these pages sturdy. It makes them easier to turn the page, and it creates a little ledge to keep your pictures from rubbing against each other. There's like a little gap there that protects your pictures long term. And of course, they're acid-free, lignin-free, and buffered. Well, around 2008, we changed sizes to go with the rest of the scrapbooking industry. So let me see here. Which size do I have? Oh, I left it over here. Okay, so here's the standard size that I have been working with for years. It's called True 12 by 12 because the inside, the paper that we put on it is the 12 by 12. So this paper is 12 by 12 and it fits inside the jeeping. So the page is a little bit wider. And if you hold one of the old pages up, they're the same height, but you can see that the new pages are about half an inch wider. And I'm going to use my ruler a lot today. Let's just go ahead and make sure about that I'm telling you right. Line them up, and it is half an inch. So maybe I can show you on the camera here. There you go. If you can see. So these were actually 12 inches tall by 11.5 inch on the paper surface. So you see our new papers, you would need to trim half an inch off the paper to fit inside the jeeping area. So pretty simple, right? I keep these in separate places because I don't want to get them mixed up. So of course, a lot of my new things, I use the new pages. It's just easy. It fits our paper sizes. You put it right on it. But around 2007, 2008, my albums started containing both sizes. So I believe this is my 2007 album. I'm not sure, something like that. But as you see, most of the pages in here are the older size, and a few in the back are the newer size, and they stick out. The album, the outside is the newer size, so any page fits in it, no problem, nothing sticks out. If you were to use an older album, then the newer pages would stick out, and you might not want to have that. So I'm going to catch up on some pictures that need to go in this album. And while it would be okay to do a new page and have it stick out, I don't really like that in the middle like that, you know, maybe at the end, maybe some Christmas ones, that's okay. But I'm going to put something in the middle, and I have some pictures that, you know, my time is limited, and maybe I don't want to spend a lot of time making pretty pages. I just want to catch up a little bit. Well, we have these multi-pocket pages. So let me get some out. These are amazing for catching up on your pictures. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to decorate. You can just slide your pictures right in here. But this is the new size. So what are we going to do? Do I want it to stick out? If I put it in my album, and it's not, you know, it's not threaded in. What I'm just showing you for the concept here is that they would stick out this much from the other pages. But there is such an easy fix for that. So I'm going to get my 12-inch trimmer. And I'm just going to cut off part. And guess what? There's this really nice seam right here. So when I cut off about 1/2 inch of this multi-pocket page, you're not even going to be able to tell because there's this really nice welded seam that will still be there. So let me put this in my trimmer. And I'm going to flip out the leg here just to give it some stability. And I want to cut off about 1/2 inch, but actually for this, I want to go closer to the seam, but I definitely don't want to cut off that seam, if you can see there. So I'm going over 1/2 inch here. Matter of fact, I think I'll put the seam right on the gray, the edge of my gray matte strip on my trimmer. There we go. So I'll have a little bit of safety area, and that's just over 1/2 inch on the ruler. So I've got it all lined up. Here it cut through. It didn't cut through yet. I need to press it down. Sometimes I forget to press down. There we go. So throw away the little piece of plastic. And look, you can't even tell that this wasn't made that way because of the nice seam and where it falls on the paper. So let me put my trimmer over here and hold up. Let's see, here are the older pages. And so when I put this in my book, it's going to go right over them like that and not going to stick out. It's just perfect. So I can take out these little placeholders, and you can use these. These are made out of card. They're also acid-free. They're made out of a cardstock, and you can save these. They're not quite 4x6, so I wouldn't use them for placeholders, but you can use them for punches, for journaling boxes, or something else later. And then just slide these pictures in. And if you, for the back of the page, you're going to have to slide it in the same side. And I can go back later and rearrange them. This is for a Scottish festival that we had back in 2007. Give me another horizontal. Oh, that's not a great picture, but I can rearrange them later, or I can put this one, turn it over and put it behind the other one. So that's how I'll be doing the back of the page. And then another horizontal. There we go. And if you don't have enough vertical or horizontal, you can just use a journaling box and slip that right in there. So that is going to fit into my older album. And it didn't take long to do. The next technique we're going to do is the smaller picture sizes. First, I want to mention something. This Christmas from when I was little. Yes, that's yours truly sitting in a box. Oh, I love these pictures. They're awesome. But we just came out with some, I've got to show you. Let me remove the spotlight here and share my screen. There we go. So we just came out with this Legacy of Love Heritage Collection. And that's not all I want to show you. All the beautiful heritage stuff. And that's the bundle. Those are the album covers. Oh, also, write-on stickers, a white pen, photo corners in case you want to fix or imitate some of your really old vintage albums. But look at this, through the years, scrap every era. So we have these sort of decades collections that just came out, and I would show you mine, but it's getting shipped, and I should get mine tomorrow. So we have the 20s and 30s, 40s and 50s, 60s and 70s, 80s and 90s, and 2000s and 2010s. Isn't that funny? But yeah, I need, 2000s was 20 years ago. I hate to admit it, but I do want to catch up on a lot of these things. And look at the 60s and 70s. I wasn't thrilled about this paper at first, but now then let me stop sharing and look at my sister's shirt. It's those same browns and oranges that are in that collection. So that's going to be so perfect. So I don't want to do, let me spotlight this for you, sorry. So I don't want to do these pictures today because I've got some paper coming tomorrow that's going to be absolutely perfect for these 60 styles going on. So we'll work on those later. But these I can do today. And I'm going to show you a technique. Let's see. This is my older page. Got to make sure I've got both out here right now. My newer page, I'm going to put back here. So one thing you can do, we have a lot of layout ideas on the blog. You come to our virtual crops and we have a lot of great layout ideas. Some of them have squares like 4x4 and some of them have 3.5 by 3.5. So these older pictures would work great. But it doesn't matter what size you have. I'm going to teach you a little technique and we are going to measure two pictures. So just take any two pictures that you're going to put on the page. And since these are 3.5 by 3.5, it's going to be 7 high and they're square. So it's going to be 7 wide. Now take your paper. I'll use this green here. And we're going to add an inch. What we just measured, add an inch to the height and the width. So I'm going to need a 7 by 7 square. I measured 7 by 7. So I'm going to need an 8 by 8 square. There we go. We'll take our page and put this square towards the inside, well, or the outside. Depends on if you're making a 2-page layout or not. So This is a 2-page layout. I'm going to put it on the inside, and I could make another one over here. And then the idea is it gathers your photos, and I've lost some of them. These aren't the best photos, but I think I've got some over here on my table. But it gathers your photos together. And these don't have to be square. If we measured it longer this way, then you would just add an inch to your paper. Matter of fact, I could just try to do a sample of that. So if I were to do this size, some of these are horizontal. It depends on how you're going to lay them out. Horizontal, horizontal. There we go. Vertical, vertical. Measure that and add an inch. But I think horizontal is going to look better with this idea. So let's do it this way. That's my grandmother. These are awesome. There's another horizontal. So let's measure these. You can use your ruler or your mat. And they are also 7 inches high, but this one is 10 inches wide. So I'm going to take this scrap of paper, 7 by 10, and I'm going to make it 8 by 11. So 11. Eight. I have enough here. Yes. I'll take the other side, and these wouldn't go together. These are different eras going on here. But I could put this here in the middle or down past the middle. Maybe I could put a border up here and spread my pictures out. And the box that we made just kind of gathers those pictures together, and the size doesn't matter because it looks like you planned it that way. And then of course add a border up here, and that's going to look like a great page. Okay. And then one more technique. Now, this is Noteworthy Days, but this particular little family reunion, and this was, I think, 1993, it was at a place we call the Fish Camp. So I'm going to use, I had it handy here, the Simple Page Kit. In case you haven't heard about our Simple Page Kits, they just make life so easy, and they're perfect for events, something that you just took 6 to 10 pictures, and you didn't take a ton of pictures, but maybe it's going to be a 2-page spread. So this is the June Simple Page Kit, and it's actually probably coming out next week, but I have it because I got the bundle, and you get things ahead and some little bonuses when you get the Simple Page Kit bundle each quarter. So this is the second quarter bundle. It came with some nice little goodies, and I'm going to pull out number 6, or basically the June kit. And it has, this is not a story about fishing. It's not a story about Father's Day, but it's at the fish camp, and there are these nice little fishing flies around the edges that really go with my uncle who's in these pictures. Now, I'm trying to put these, since it's 1993, I'm trying to put this in one of my older albums. But the simple page kit would be so easy, right? Well, I'm going to modify it just a little bit. So let's pull these pages out. And again, if you haven't done our simple page kits, it's so easy. It's like paint by number. You get a background that already has, it looks like you've laid this out, but this is on the sheet of paper. I did not put this strip here that came this way. And then you get a third sheet that is cut apart. And basically, it's going to be mats. And some of these are going to be for 4x6 pictures, or you trim your pictures. These will be 5.5 by 3.5, and then some smaller ones. Well, I'm not going to cut my mats because I have different size pictures, but I'm going to use, and I might cut them later and measure the pictures and kind of do my own thing, not use these lines. But I have to trim this paper to go on my old pages to fit in my older Creative Memories album. You see how this paper sticks out over the edge. So, and it should be 1/2 inch. I'm not sure where I put my ruler now. Here it is. Just measure it to be sure. Yep, 1/2 inch. Now, if I cut the outside, I'm cutting some of this little fly fishing design off, and that wouldn't be the end of the world. But if I cut the insides, you're not even going to notice because it's the same design all the way across. So I need to cut the insides of both sheets of paper 1/2 inch. And the other one also, I'm going to turn it so that I'm cutting the inside. All right. So now, let's see how this does. So now this fits perfectly in between the jeeping of my older page. I'm not going to adhere it down because this is ideal for a 2-page spread. But I think the way my album is, I will probably put one of these on the front and one of these on the back. And then they'll just go right into my album. But for right now, I'll show you as if it were 2 pages like this. I've got my smaller pictures. So let's grab all of those. And I have some more. Um, there they are. They're kind of getting scattered around. Oh, that is so cute. So, so cute. And they just fit right in there. And that's not a very good picture. I might trim it off or put it in a peekaboo pocket because this was back when we used film, y'all, and you didn't know if the picture was going to turn out. So sometimes half of a person is cut off, especially when they're moving. So, but this is a picture of the backyard as it used to be, and it has no trees in it now. So I might keep that. We'll see. And I could always just kind of overlap it right there. I will probably use this cut apart page to make a journaling box. That might be nice over here to balance it out. But I don't know. I don't know that I'll use any mats. We'll see. I'll think about that. But look, I just stick those down, do a little journaling, and there's a 1993 thing that has been in my power sort box forever, and it's now caught up. Let me highlight myself, come back and see you. I hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have some old pictures that you're working on. Actually, I have been working on 2010 lately, but I'm doing it digitally, which I'm trying to remember how to do because Creative Memories is opening their digital things a couple of times a year, and I'm trying to catch up on that. Meanwhile, I've got this 1993 family reunion, and I just ran across these wonderful Christmas pictures from the 1960s. And I'm getting paper tomorrow, that decades paper and stickers that's going to go great with that. Take the little orange and brown paper that goes with my sister's shirt, add some Christmas stickers, and I'm good to go. Remember that technique where you measure your pictures and you add an inch for the height and the width. And that's just an easy way to box pictures onto your page no matter what size they are. And of course, you can use the ideas on our blog and the other ideas for your other pages. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.